Ancients Speak, Volume 1. Bongo Isaac. Rastafari. If truth is not being confused as lies when prophecy is being revealed, I Rastafari should be the bearers of this universal truth of Jah Rastafari revelation on earth. Rastafari. Wisemind Publications. Ancients Speak, Volume 1, Bongo Isaac. Recorded and transcribed by Rastafari, 2004. Special thanks to Ross Tobin Newberg. Edited and layout by Ross Flacco. Final edit by Shamana Ital Ja Root. Revised 2016. Published by Wisemind Publications. Contact Ross Flacco at gmail.com. That's RASFLAKO at gmail.com, or wisemindpublications at gmail.com. www.wisemindpublications.com. Copyright Ross Flacco Tafari. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced or stored without prior permission of the publisher. Table of Contents. Page 4, The Fullness. Page 7, Trod of Rastafari and Nyabingi Mansions and Other Mansions Today. Page 9, Message to Rastafari and Teachings of Haile Selassie. Page 10, The Holy Bible and the Nazarite Vow. Page 12, Role and Position of the Daughter in Rastafari and Significance of His and Her Majesty's Coronation, 2nd November 1930. Page 13, Coronation Day Message. Page 14, Organize and centralize the Rastafari movement and repatriation, reparation, and African liberation. Page 15, The Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Page 17, Ethiopia Today and the African Liberation Struggle. Page 18, Relevance of Rastafari Today and the Role of Ganja, or marijuana. Page 20, Rastafari and Science and Humanitarian Mission of Haile Selassie I and Rastafari in the Diaspora. Page 22, Tribulation. Page 23, Nyabingi Creed. Page 24, Upholding the Nyabingi Creed. Page 26, Final Comments. Wisemind Publications. The Fullness. Iman name is Bongo Isaac, according to Rasta. As them say, put bongo to it. But my parented name is Isaac Wright, and I am 70 year and 6 months. I was born in the month of March, and you know that the man born in the month of March is a good man, but he is fiery. His birth sign is Pisces. Christ came in the Piscean age, which is the watery age. So the people in general, the male and female, who were born in March, are expected to have many children, for it's a watery planet. Now I, Bongo Isaac, now live in the community of Retirement, St. James. I live a single life now. I lost my sistren, who was my lovely handmaid. Her name is Uda Taylor, and she died because of high blood pressure, which gave the result of strokes and so on. It is not to say that the Almighty was never mighty, that He could deliver her. But brethren, we are passing through life and death, and it is the mercy of the Almighty that preserves our life. None of us is in this creation, whether we vow the vow of a Nazarite or not. That alone will not save us. We are into an age that death come unto man. And how death come unto man? It is through man disobey the ways of the Almighty. For it is said, our fathers have sinned, and our teachers have transgressed. And Him, the Almighty Rastafari, the Christ, and even before the Christ was reborn, when He was known as Yeshua, and many other Hebrew names. In this time, we need to humble ourselves as Rasta, love one another, and walk in righteousness, love, and purity. This is my commitment to the Almighty Rastafari. I would love to see this manifest nationally and internationally. Not only to speak the word, but live it. For when we live the word, we have a full divine testimony that Haile Selassie, that He is really the Christ Almighty, returning in His kingly and divine character. Jah Rastafari, who is the Father of the fatherless and the Judge of the widow. I give thanks unto the Trinity. Haile Selassie liveth and reigneth for ever and ever, Jah world without end. Selah. The Trod of Rastafari. I accept this faith from when I was a youth, from age of 19 coming up. One of our elders at that time was Ancient Aubrey Brown, who was living in North Gully, Montego Bay. Ancient Aubrey Brown and others always keep their meeting every Sunday night at the town square called Parade, which is now renamed Sam Sharp Square, in the city of Montego Bay. It was during the years of 1953 to 55. Many elders trod up as leaders of the faith. Every Sunday night we went to the meetings to reason on the prophetic teachings of Haile Selassie. There we read the Bible and declared the revelation of His Majesty from Psalms 2, Revelation 19, which stated that the Messiah must return to the earth as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The Nyabingi Mansion and other mansions today. I, man, is a part of the Nyabingi Mansion. I choose this mansion because to I it feels free within the declaration of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. However, it is not to say that I am against other mansions. I just prefer the Nyabingi Mansion. Many today look upon house or mansions as an identification of what they want to do. However, all these mansions should come in one. We also should put mansion aside and organize ourselves as one goody of people, of Rasas. For this mansion and the other mansion is causes a little havoc among I and I. Actually, every mansion is business with themselves. In Jamaica, some brethren are organizing that every mansion should come together, and when that is done, there will be one voice in the mansion. Now, when we say come together of mansions, there will be autonomy of the brethren within each mansion. However, we need to organize ourselves as one Rastafarian brethren, that we could strengthen one another without ignorance and love one another with that divine and perfect love. By doing that, we will arrive with different ideas of progress among ourselves, gigantic ideas to realize the well-needed funds for Rastafari survival in Jamaica and even in the United States of America, England, or anywhere the Rastafari community is, where we can have communication one with another. And we need that now, more than any other time. Message to Rastafari reggae musicians. I would tell anyone that Rastafari is greater than reggae music. I don't condemn reggae, but Rastafari is a divine principle that I and I have to live within I and I self spiritually, recognizing the divine Godhead of Haile Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Teachings of Haile Selassie. I accept greatly the teachings of Haile Selassie, for the utterance and teachings of Haile Selassie are divinely and prophetically and secularly accepted. Haile Selassie had spoken to the United Nations, the World Council of Churches, and told them, we, being the apostle of Christ, we must do the things that Christ 2,000 years ago command us to do. In the Rastafari community in Jamaica, I accepts Emperor Haile Selassie as the return Christ, for the word Christ symbolizes the anointed. Both Haile Selassie and Christ were anointed. King Solomon was also anointed, and it is written in the Kebra Nagast, the name Solomon means Christ. The Holy Bible. I have a tremendous view on the Bible. I accept the prophecy within the message. His Majesty Haile Selassie said, we in Ethiopia have one of the oldest versions of the Bible. But however old the version may be, in whatever language it might be written, the word remains one and the same. It is eternal. Also remember, Christ said, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Who can resist an invitation so full of compassion? So I accept the Bible and its message with a free and loving heart, and a prophetical nature within the mind. The Nazarite Vow. Our relationship within the Nazarite vow to grow our locks is coming from the ancient time of the laws, for I in creation. Man was created before the Nazarite vow. According to biblical texts, man did not trim his hair. However, coming along in the ages, the vow was created for man to use to be a Nazarite. And why man had to make this vow? When I sight up within myself, I found out that man had fallen from the divine liberty of the Almighty, who upkeep man in the heights of liberty. As such, a man had to make a vow as a Nazarite. But before that, a man had just lived the divine integrity and did not use the scissors, razors, or comb, for we were created with our locks upon our head. Role and the position of the daughter in Rastafari. The role of women in Rastafari. I, Bongo Isaac, see that in ancient times we had prophet and prophetess. We had also patriarchs and matriarchs. And in the apostolic age of the Christ, when he trod as Jesus Christos, known as Yeshua, had matriarchs and patriarchs in the upper room where the apostles were. That divine spirit came upon the brethren. It was the same for the sistren, since they were all equal in the eyes of the Almighty. Some time ago, the chairperson in the Nyabingi house in Jamaica was a sistren, and we acknowledged her for her abilities. We cannot ignore the sistren that symbolize our mother and our sister, We have to love them. But there is a guideline for both of us. We must cast out ignorance and love the woman as she would, in turn, love the brethren. For the fear of Jah is the creation of woman. Some brethren will call it wisdom. Others will say Wisemind. And that same wise mind is in both us the male and the female. That is my conception. The significance of His and Her Majesty coronation, 2nd November coronation. The great significance of the coronation of His Imperial Majesty and Her Majesty Empress Menen, who were crowned in Ethiopia, symbolized and fulfilled Revelation 19. It also fulfills Revelation 5. I would now speak in reference to Revelation 19, which reads, "Upon his thigh a name is written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords." Now when I look upon Revelation 5, I see the Lion of Judah, who hath prevailed to take that book out of the hand of that one that did sit upon the throne. That book was sealed with 7 seals. John the Divine said, when he saw the one who seated on the throne with the 7 seals, he looked and saw no one worthy in heaven or in the earth to take the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. As such, John wept much. Now, one of the elders said to John, "Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to take the book of the hand of the one who was seated on the throne, and loose the seals thereof, and to look therein." Emperor Haile Selassie is that Lion of the tribe of Judah, in which the Revelation 5 was fulfilled. Coronation Day Message. My coronation message is a nice one, that we must organize ourselves properly on this coronation and look upon its significance as the Christ 2,000 years ago who have returned in His kingly character, natural naturality, for we have accepted His divinity of King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Therefore, I would now say to all my faithful brethren to speak it out in America, that His Imperial Majesty is the Christ that has returned in His kingly and divine character as the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and we must draw nearer to one another with that divine love and fellowship of the Almighty Haile Selassie Jah Rastafari. We must strengthen the brethren and sistren, and put behind us negative ways, and live clean and righteous before the Almighty in truth and in righteousness, because Haile Selassie is the righteous King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. Therefore, we must love each other with a divine love, as how Haile Selassie liveth. Organize and centralize the Rastafari movement. I learned that Haile Selassie told Mortimer Plano, Brother Douglas Mack, and Brother Sam Clayton, when they visited Ethiopia, not to be dismayed, and that Haile Selassie is looking after repatriation. Now we, the Rastafari brethren, must first organize and centralize ourselves together, and when that is done, there will be more recognition, both national and international, and by doing so, we must organize ourselves for repatriation. Repatriation, reparation, and African liberation. Repatriation is a must. Now we have to come together to face this repatriation in one love and knowledge of communication with the touchable rulers in Ethiopia, the Ethiopian clergy, and the Organization of African Unity, to bring forth our repatriation in Ethiopia or any other part of Africa. As for reparation, it is not only monetary as compensation for all the brutality and hardships that our ancestors had to endure. Reparation can come in the form of providing schools for black people, and one of the great gifts that were given by Emperor Haile Selassie when he visited Jamaica in 1966 was a school. His Majesty also gave the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Those are the greatest gift that Haile Selassie had given to a nation, which was the secular and spiritual gifts, whereby we could learn of our own divine consciousness. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, it is great. I, Bongo Isaac, accept the Orthodox Church. And why I accept the Orthodox Church is that Emperor Haile Selassie, before it was Orthodox in Ethiopia, transformed the Coptic Church of Alexandria to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. And to my good overstanding, when His Majesty was in exile, the Egyptian Abuna in those days would trod in exile with His Majesty, and to present the cross to His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, due to the fact that Ethiopia is a Christian country. When the cross was presented to His Majesty, he would kiss it and offer prayers. It was the ancient customs in time of King Solomon, King David. Zadok the high priest also prayed for the king. Samuel also prayed for King David. Emperor Haile Selassie, as we know, is from that line of King David, King Solomon, and also the Queen of Sheba. Therefore, the Orthodox Church is right. I, Bongo Isaac, have not been baptized in the Orthodox Church, but I will, and I must, be baptized in the Orthodox Church, to do what my Divine Father, Haile Selassie, have done. For everyone must be baptized in water to symbolize the cleansing of the soul. The Christ trod in the Piscean era, which is the water sign, and baptismal era, and I learned in the Aquarian Gospel that Christ spoke of two types of baptism. One is the water baptism, and the other the fire. The fire baptism is to acknowledge in your heart of the divine nature of Haile Selassie and born again, meaning to change from one level to divine consciousness. Selah. Ethiopia today. Ethiopia today is the Ethiopia that I, the Rasta man, look upon, despite the many hardships that we are in. I see Ethiopia in the great aspect of life, and I, the Rastafari community, must have communication with Ethiopia and the leaders that are now in Ethiopia. We should embrace them and have a dialogue with them. Also, as Rastafari brethren and sistren, we should not ignore them. We must strengthen Ethiopia in every way we can. We must also rise Ethiopia to a next level to accept its people who are now in the diaspora. Selah, Rastafari. The African liberation struggle. The African liberation is under great sabotaging from the European world, as I have seen it today. The African liberation struggle is all about the liberation of Africa and people enslaved in the diaspora. As African people, we need to organize ourselves properly. We need to come together and have communication with African states and give them a word of encouragement to lift Africa to a higher level of divine consciousness, to come out from the hands and arms of the Europeans. From the present situation, we have seen Europe and China running to control the great riches of Africa so that they can further enslave the Africans. The Europeans have the full control of all the mines in South Africa. Now we, the African people, must control our destiny and don't allow the European or the Americans or the Chinese to control our destiny, for we cannot control their destiny. Blessed be Jah Rastafari. Relevance of Rastafari today. Why Rastafari is relevant at this time and to the age we are living in? Because the Christ came in the Piscean age with water baptism within mansions, and everyone must be baptized in water to symbolize the cleansing of the soul. And when I look upon it, Philip had baptized the Ethiopian eunuch, and now His Majesty Haile Selassie was also baptized, and so accepted the Christian age that we are in. Now, I have seen the younger ones trotting up in the movement, but not as prevalent as when we were trotting in the early days. We have not seen that massive resurrection at this time. It is mostly the Rastaman children trotting today and acknowledging Haile Selassie as Christ's return in His kingly character. The role of ganja or marijuana. As it was in ancient times, marijuana is a part of the herbs in creation. It was said in the prophecy, and even in Genesis, when Jah created the heaven and the earth, the herb-bearing seed was created for the service of man. It was not just one seed, however. Marijuana, which is also known as ganja, is the king of all herbs. It has certain potential substance within it. As such, it stimulates the spirit of man. The herb provides a steady. Rastafari and science. One can find Jah in scientifical knowledge according to how it explains the divine divinity of the return of the Messiah. But there are many scientists who believe in the personality of Creator in His human character and still divine in spirit. So we have to be careful of the ways of these modern scientifically people use science today. Humanitarian mission of Haile Selassie I and Rastafari in the diaspora. It is good to know of the humanitarian, touchable, visible appearance of Emperor Haile Selassie and the works that he has done. For he was one of the draftsmen for humanity in the League of Nations. I can remember the time when Mussolini fought against His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie in his human appearance. Mussolini wanted to overthrow Haile Selassie and capture Ethiopia. His Majesty went into exile and spoke to the League of Nations, which is now known as the United Nations. The Emperor of Ethiopia said to the League of Nations, "If you 52 nations will not come to the help of my helpless Ethiopian people, God and history shall record your judgment." Tribulation. As Rastafari, we had gone through great suffering, endless police brutality. I personal, Bongo Isaac, and other Rastas that I know, bear great persecution, police baton licks, and gun butt mash up I man muscle when I did nothing at all, and the ignorance of society towards I Rastafari was so great that we were not given jobs in our youthful days from the society at large. Now, when I was working at a place called Fairfield Country Club, a place where golf and tennis were played, I was just growing my beard and had no locks on my head. The boss said if I cannot shave or trim our hair, our employment would be terminated. I never bow and had to find a new job of going into the woodland to burn fire coal to get my daily food. As such, I suffered great discrimination for the ignorance of men and people in society. Even unto this day, that discrimination exists, although not so great as before in Jamaica, the land of our birth. The Nyabingi Creed. The Nyabingi Creed is good when it is fulfilled with a congregational fulfillment of ones and ones coming together and organizing themselves, as His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie had said. Then this creed will be fulfilled more gigantically, for we have to have what it takes to put the human consciousness of our mind together. Then we can organize and centralize ourselves as His Majesty taught us to do. And by doing so, we will be able to put together what we would call now some monetary and commercial activity in order to fulfill the needs of the creed, just like in the ancient apostolic days when the apostles were growing by the members of the believers who came to acknowledge the faith of Jesus the Christ. As such, Peter and the apostles organized what they should do. According to the scriptures, brethren by the name of Ananias and Zacharias planted a field and called the name of the Lord upon it. They pledged to take the produce to the disciples so that they could dispose the produce and gain strength from it, and by doing so, the aged could be fed from it. Therefore, we now need that collectiveness of brethren, both national and international, to come together in unity, that we could donate from whatever income we have to the collective house of unity so that it can be distributed amongst the poor. However, if it is otherwise, there will be more suffering amongst us. It is imperative that we all organize ourselves properly. Upholding the Nyabingi Creed. Ones and ones should do some manual labor to uphold the creed, which would bring in some funds, not just sit and talk, some touchable work. We must put our hands and heart out there and work to achieve funds which would strengthen ourselves materially speaking, so that the creed can be upheld, so that the aged and the youths would be assisted more within the congregation of Rastafari throughout the universe. Final comments. Both brethren and sistren and people in the universe, just do all the good you can. Love and protect one another, for one man cannot live in this world. I, Bongo Isaac, know that knowledge alone cannot exist in this world. We need to put knowledge together and compact them, and walk in the laws and commandments of the Almighty Rastafari. We must keep His precepts diligently, which are the laws. We must keep customs and ordinances divinely, and by so doing we must love one another and unite in one divine and secular unity. The only conclusion that we have is that Emperor Haile Selassie is divine. We are not fighting against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high and low places. Jah Rastafari. So let these words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in the sight of Jah Rastafari, our divine majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie. You are our strength and our Redeemer, who liveth and reigneth forever and ever. Jah, world without end. Selah. Jah Rastafari. Jah Rastafari. Jah Rastafari. Wisemindpublications.com